Good morning, America. My name is John, and I am the traditional liberal. You know what's really inconvenient? No ramp for a wheelchair user. And it's a minor inconvenience to install one. And after that, it's not inconvenient at all to have it. That's a pretty reasonable accommodation, if you ask me. And we should make reasonable accommodations for people who need them. However, some people ask for more than is reasonable, and we're not obligated to make those. For example, trans people would like us to use their chosen pronouns. That is a pretty reasonable accommodation, as long as it doesn't come with a threat such as do it or I'll kill myself or I'll call you a bigot. They would also like to not be discriminated against in housing and employment, and that is also perfectly reasonable. However, some, not all, want to change our entire language patterns, like, say, chest feeding instead of breastfeeding. That's not a reasonable accommodation. We shouldn't have to change our language to satisfy less than 1% of the population. Some, not all, want unrestricted access to women's private spaces, and that isn't reasonable either. Women have those spaces not for vanity, but for safety. And like it or not, trans women will be male bodied and therefore present at the very least a perception of danger, and in some cases, a very real danger. Further, allowing trans women unrestricted access to women's private spaces will embolden cis male predators to use them too, and that has already happened. The idea of reasonable versus unreasonable accommodations can be applied to a lot of things, but the trans issue is really hot right now, which is why I keep bringing it up. And to be clear, I know not all trans people are like that. They just want to live their lives without being bothered or discriminated against. And I think it's actually a very small number who are making noise and wanting to force their way into women's spaces. And have you ever noticed that trans men don't raise a stink in general? I actually wonder, of the trans women causing an uproar, how many of them are actually trans, as in gender dysmorphia, and how many are just angry and confused by the way life is these days? That last bit will probably get me roasted alive, but I think it's a valid question. And that's all I have for you today. Please like and subscribe if you'd like to hear more, and comment below your thoughts on this. Thank you, and good night, America.